Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism with a well-known Indian film actress, and the video was later proven to be false. The judge ordered the television station to run an apology for it every 2 hours for 7 days, and Hansraj Saxena, the COO of Sun TV, confessed on the public television as well as gave a sworn affidavit to a US court detailing the history and the modus operandi of the blackmail and extortion, and was jailed for the same. However, the state-owned and controlled television channels within a few hours ensured that the television telecast was stopped. The ASMT captured the video recording of the telecast and has this as an evidence of the same. They did not remedy the challenge. They did not remedy the damage that was done. Now, following the hate propaganda started by the DMK-affiliated Sun TV, the politically owned Neo-Hindutva media amplified the misinformation and hatred, spreading it to the entire country with titles such as Hang the Sin Swamis. This resulted in marginalization of Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and the Adi Shaivite minority tradition community, that they were neither able to receive fair trials from the judiciary nor sympathy or empathy of the society. Then, on the 26th of March 2010, the Karnataka State Police, the CID, unlawfully sent letters to the bank holding the bank accounts, holding the bank accounts of the public charitable trust of the temple monastery of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, illegally ordering them to freeze all the bank accounts of the trust. No debit transaction was allowed, making the main source of food and basic amenities for the residents of the monastery a huge struggle. There was no food to be served in the monastery. The residents were pushed to the crisis. They were forced to survive by drinking rainwater, which was collected underground, and living by sorting the good grains out of the rotten ones. When they appealed to the court to seek relief, the judge made a mocking statement in the open court. If there is no food, eat air. Several residents and the full-time volunteers fled the monastery due to starvation. Several social, welfare and spiritual services of the monastery had to be discontinued. Although the Indian law and the customary international law and treaties unanimously declare a presumption of innocence of an accused until proven guilty, this fundamental right of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nityananda Paramashivam, and his disciples have been repeatedly targeted and denied over 10 years because of undue influence and misinformation by the powerful state-funded media houses. On the 11th of June 2010, while hearing of a bail for the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagat Guru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, the High Court of Karnataka described this in its order, observed the undue media influence against Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, as it mentioned in the point number 13. What did the court order mention? It says, however, it is not a matter for the court to discuss since the issue was subsidized by media by telecasting the incident, and the question mark is created against the public as regard to the image of Swamiji. Already, the continuous airing of hate speech, atrocity material against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been telecasted by the media, the anti-Hindu media, and this has already put a question mark amongst the public with regards to the image of the Supreme Pontiff. Now, as per the Oxford Dictionary of the word subsidy or to subsidize means to give or contribute a sum to support an industry or a business to keep the price of its product or service low. What the High Court observed was that the attacks or the allegations on the character of Supreme Pontiff were funded by media, not sustained by facts or any complainer or witness who was a part of the actual case. The media had no obligation to make true claims, was not under no declaration of any oath or any court of law, and could anytime retract from any of its claims, and had no locus standi in the court on legal grounds, but it had a very prominent influence in the negatively prejudicing the judiciary against the Supreme Pontiff and the ASMT. On the 3rd of March 2010, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Karunanidhi, made a public statement inciting hatred towards the Supreme Pontiff and the ASMT community. This was published in several newspapers and cited by several media channels. Now, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu stereotyped and vilified Swamis, the Hindu monks, labeling them as cheats, imposters, brainwashers, destroyers of life of the people, swindlers of money, despicable Swamis, hoodwinks who are disguising in the name of devotion, hoodwinkers who are disguising in the name of devotion, pushing the literate into the deep pit. This is what the Chief Minister himself has spoken about the Supreme Pontiff. The Chief Minister declared the stand of his government on Hindu monks like the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. My government cannot tolerate the despicable Swamis hoodwinking hacks. The Chief Minister described the practicing Hindus who are following the Swamis, like the followers of Supreme Pontiff, as people who are deeply buried in ignorance, who still cannot understand these, or even if understood, do not want to change. He addresses the devotees as fickle-minded people who have fallen prey to the Swamis and destroying the society. The Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu further explains his stand on the practicing Hindus who followed the gurus like the Supreme Pontiff, saying, this government won't be a mute spectator of those fickle-minded people who have fallen prey to the Swamis and are destroying the society. The Chief Minister pleaded to the citizens, those who really want these preachers to be eradicated, should stand by and support the actions of my government. In a similar interview, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Karunanidhi, gave an interview in Trichy on the 3rd of March 2010, where in the context of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, he said, of late, immorality has been rampant in temples and monasteries. On the 12th of April 2010, the present organization of Karunanidhi, which is the Dravida Kazhagam, hosted a press meeting wherein the leader of the anti-Hindu atheist terrorist K. Veeramani said the central and state governments should clearly take criminal action against them. The crores of properties they have earned through crooked means should be taken over by the government. The fabricated video of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism became a political justification for the state government to implement and execute anti-Hindu laws and executive orders that destroyed all Hindu temples in Tamil Nadu over the next decade. Earlier, on the 5th of March 2010, Veeramani had given an interview wherein he said the context of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and other Hindu gurus, if you probe them, they will ultimately end their life in jail. Almost national criminals. So much of hate speech against the Supreme Pontiff. Now, following the statement of the Chief Minister, the very next day, on the 4th of March 2010, the state police filed a fabricated accusations on Supreme Pontiff, charging him under Section 376 rape without mentioning anybody as a victim of the rape. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism continued to be hounded by the police of 3 states, the Neo-Hindutva media and the state intelligence for months. Within days, more than 50 ASMT temples and monasteries in different cities were attacked simultaneously and rapidly. Some set on fire and shut down by the atheist militants aiding the state police. The unabated decade-old genocide on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism comprised of over 70 assassination attempts, over 250 sexual assaults on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and ASMT monks and disciples, lawfare of 120 false cases over 10 years, massive hate propaganda in electronic media over 14,000 hours, print media of over 25,000 articles in 5 years, destruction of heritage properties worth over 27 billion, and the continuing ethnocide and genocide of over 80 million Hindus worldwide of over 7 countries. And now let us see what happens now, 11 years later, on the 2nd of March 2021. The anti-Hindu militant terrorist forces launch a bio-war. The seeds of terrorism on the Adi Kailasha ship, the last lamp of Hinduism. Now, the anti-Hindu militant forces have deployed bio-war agents on Adi Kailasha ship, the last hope for India to survive the COVID-19. The history of bio-war targeting His Divine Holiness and his community. Now, on the 7th of June 2012, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism held a press meet in a large hall in Bengaluru Monastery to reveal a clinching evidence about the falsity of the fabricated charges of rape foisted against Supreme Pontiff. Now, during the press meet, the Swarna television barged in with the chief editor Ajit Hanamakkanavar and armed militants. In an attempt to assassinate His Divine Holiness, Ajit Hanamakkanavar forced an anthrax liquor bomb on the Supreme Pontiff. Now, seeing the danger, the assistants of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism took him through a different door and exited the hall as they were able to save him. Finally, the disciples seized the package, handed it over to one of the secretaries of the Supreme Pontiff. The secretary went to his office with the package. Though the disciples managed to protect His Divine Holiness, his assistant became a victim of the collateral damage of this bio-war. Soon, no sooner did the secretary open the cover, the letter bomb exploded on him. A white dust containing spores of unknown variants of Bacillus anthracis, which is anthrax pathogen, spread all over him. At that time, not able to understand what it was and feeling dizzy, the secretary drank some water and fainted, while Ajit and his henchmen quietly left the campus. The secretary survived, but had a severe negative impact on his health for almost a decade and still continues to impact his health adversely. Now, what are the seeds of the terror? A bio-weapon. Now, there is a recent international phenomena where anonymous seed packages are being sent to various people around the world, especially in the US, UK, and other 3 other countries. And on the 31st of July 2020, the Animal and the Plant Health Inspection Service of the US Department of Agriculture, in a statement, had said that the main concern is that these seeds can introduce damaging pest diseases that harm US agriculture. India is also on the target list. On the 31st of July 2020, senior Indian government officials said China had an advanced scientific capabilities to do such an attack on India's soil too. The conspiracy was revealed in detail here prior. Now let us look at why is Adi Kailash targeted after a short break.
Ability to build beautiful relationships in your life. We get you direct spiritual support and we make sure you become wealthy. We won't stop giving you just good life. We will literally not stop till you live enlightened life. Manifesting the state of Paramashiva, space of Paramashiva, powers of Paramashiva, being of Paramashiva. Whole world should become Kailashian.
I want the whole world to know Hindus have something great to contribute to the world. We have something great to contribute to the world. Let us do that.
Kailasa is proper customized spiritual service helping you to identify your root patterns of suffering. We have perfected the science of helping every individual from every cultural, religious, nationality background. You will have lowest reactionary assumptions, highest awakened response, alive response for life continuously. Kailasa is enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself in your own home, wherever you are. Proper customized spiritual service, helping you to complete with your life negativity, withdrawal from life, self-hatred, self-denial, self-doubt, so much of tiredness, laziness. We can support you, aligning your diet, your attitude, your aptitude, your understanding about life. We can help you with everything. If you are interested in enlightenment, we will immediately bring this to you. If you are not interested, we will explain the whole science, inspire you, and make you interested in enlightenment. We need to cater this enlightenment science to the whole world wherever they are, because enlightenment is the birthright of all human beings. Kailasa is responsible to provide that to all human beings. Kailasa is the totality of the knowledge I received from my gurus and practice manifested in my life, perfected by teaching millions of people from all cultures, time zones, backgrounds, genders, nationality, race, from every creed. So this absolutely perfected knowledge available to you, served to you in your home without even you moving out of your couch, free of cost.
Now, in this segment, we are going to share with you about how and why the Adi Kailasa, the enlightenment ecosystem created by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, is a target. Now, though the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was forcibly driven out, exiled, and deprived of his citizenship as the captain of the ship, and his home, Bharat, the sacred land, years before in 2018 itself, he left the ship. The Adi Kailasa Sarvajñapita, the enlightenment ecosystem, the last hope for India to survive the COVID-19 crisis. The anti-Hindu forces have now made the ship, the Adi Kailasa Sarvajñapita enlightened system, as one of the primary targets of this biowar. Anti-Hindu forces targeted Adi Kailasa because the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, through his relentless work through Adi Kailasa, is protecting humanity in India. Precisely what these demonic forces who want to depopulate the planet and capture the resources exclusively for themselves do not want. Now, the Adi Kailasa, a temple monastery complex and enlightenment ecosystem in India, to save humanity. It was created by the Supreme Pontiff with utmost care and compassion to save humanity from the ongoing COVID pandemic. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was driven out of the ship and his home years before. Yet, the attempts to exterminate the Supreme Pontiff and his mission of establishing love, justice, and compassion of Sanatana Hindu Dharma still continues even till today. 11 years after the deadly ethnocide on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Hinduism itself, and on the very same day, the 2nd of March 2021, yet another deadly war is launched, this time a bio-war. The Department of Customs India sent a letter in May 2021 about the pickup of the seeds package. Now, unaware of the sinister conspiracy, the Adinam authorities wrote to the Customs Department that they were not aware of and had not ordered any such package. Here you can see the Department of Customs had sent a letter in May 2021 about the pickup of the seeds package. And here you can see the 3rd of March is the date. And for that package that's been sent and it's been received in the Bangalore, it is a foreign post. And here you can see that tracking consignment order by the Indian Post. Now, unaware of the sinister conspiracy, the Adinam authorities wrote to the Customs Department. Here is a letter that was sent saying that we are not aware and we have not ordered of any such package. And here you can see the letter from the Office of the Deputy Commissioner of City Customs, and which says about the release of the said parcel. It says, please refer to the above parcel containing seeds imported through the post. You are requested to produce the plant quarantine certificate for the release of the said parcel. You are also requested to service invoice showing the value, the payment details made, and the technical write-up. Now, militant groups have been sending unsolicited seed packets arriving from unknown locations as bio-war weapons. The impacts of bioterrorism, the population and genocide. Devastating economic loss. widespread illnesses. So here you can see how many unsolicited seeds packages, literally a scam, and a bio war. So mystery mailings of seeds continue worldwide from New Star. And we have the DH News saying over 700 Canadians received unsolicited seeds in the mail. 27 states issue warnings about seed packets. Now, in June 2015, India had ratified the biological and toxin weapons convention and pledged to abide by its obligations. Despite this, the package was pushed on the monastery of the officials in the violation of the biological and toxin weapons convention. The main motive behind such deadly genocidal attempts on the Supreme Pontifice's community is to create a large-scale disruption to the humanitarian services that is spearheaded by the Supreme Pontiff through Kailasa to combat COVID-19 by launching the bio-war of unknown diseases which no medical or agricultural authority can handle or inflicted in the community. In June 2015, India has ratified the biological BTWC, Biological and Toxin Weapons Convention, and pledged to abide by its conventions. In spite of that, in violation of the Biological and Toxin Weapons Convention, Article 1 and 3. So the Article 1 of this convention talks about undertaking never under any circumstances to develop, produce, stockpile, acquire, or retain biological weapons. The Article 3, which says undertaking not to transfer or in any way assist, encourage, induce anyone to manufacture or otherwise acquire biological weapons. Now, to put an end to this persecution, we humbly pray for the universal and absolute and non-derogable prohibition of the torture and ill treatment against His Divine Holiness, Kailasians, and the Hindu diaspora worldwide. How this biological war, this biological weapon was used in this bio war, and this is being thrust on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and the Adi Kailasha ship, which the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is protecting and inviting people from around to come and take part and to protect themselves through the multi-layered quarantine facilities that are being made available in Adi Kailasha Sarvanya Pita. Now, in spite of this, in spite of all these, the attacks still continue. Somehow they want to attack the Supreme Pontiff and the Adi Kailasha Sarvanya Pita, where Kailasa is offering, the Supreme Pontiff through Kailasa is offering multi-layered quarantine opportunity during the COVID-19. And that is precisely the reason why the Adi Kailasha Sarvanya Pita has been a target of bio war. Now let's just take a look at what the Parashakti revealed in the Akashic reading about what's happening in India. Let's take a quick look.
நீ சொல்லும் நபர்கள் போடும் சண்டை சச்சரவெல்லாம் எரியும் பெருநெருப்பில் இருக்கும் இரண்டு எலிகள் போடும் சண்டை போன்றது. யார் சரி யார் தவறு என்பது இப்பொழுது முக்கியம் அல்ல. உயிர் காத்துக் கொள்ளுங்கள், எல்லோரும் நன்றாய் புரிந்து கொள்ளுங்கள். நன்மையை சொல்லுகின்றேன், உண்மையை சொல்லுகின்றேன். இந்திய நாட்டில் இருக்கும் மக்கள் எல்லோரும் கேளுங்கள். கருட புராணத்தில் வியாசன் சொன்ன கிருமி போஜனம் என்னும் நரகம் திறந்து நேரடியாய் இந்தியா மீது இடிபோல் விழுகின்றது. ஆதி கைலாசத்திற்கு ஓடிச் சென்று வருமுன் காத்துக் கொள்வது மட்டுமே ஒரே வழி. கொரோனா பெருந்தொற்று கொள்ளை நோய் கிருமி போஜனம் எனும் நரகத்தை பூமிக்கு கொண்டு வந்து விட்டது. அகோர தாண்டவத்தின் ஆட்டம் யாராலும் அடக்க முடியாத அளவிற்கு ஆரம்பித்து விட்டது. புதிதாய் உருக்கொண்டிருக்கும் இந்த நுண்ணுயிரி மயில்கள் கடந்தும் காற்றினில் உயிரோடு இருந்து மற்ற உயிர்களையும் அழித்து உடல்களை தின்னும் பெரும் வலிவு கொண்ட பேரசுரர்களாய் வலம் வர துவங்கி விடுகின்றது. நன்றாய் புரிந்து கொள்ளுங்கள். வருமுன் காத்துக் கொள்ளுங்கள், அது ஒன்றே வழி. அதற்காகவே ஆதி கைலாசத்தை திறந்து வைத்திருக்கின்றேன். உயிர் காத்துக் கொள்ள வேண்டி விரும்பும் எல்லோரும் ஓடுங்கள் ஆதி கைலாசத்திற்கு. இந்தியாவில்தான் இந்த நரகம் திறந்து உலகெங்கும் பரவப் போகின்றது. கிருமி போஜன நரகம் பூமிக்கு வந்துவிட்டது. மனிதர்கள் செய்த மகா கொடுமைகளினால். அன்னை முன்னின்று என் அடியவரை காப்பேன் சொல்வதை கேட்டு உயிர் காத்துக் கொள்ள விரும்புவோர் வருமுன் காப்பது ஒன்றே வழி என்று தெரிந்து செல்லுங்கள் ஆதி கையிலைக்கு. ஓம் ஓம்.
Now let us take a look at the translation of what Devi Parashakti has revealed about what's happening in India. I'll be now reading the translation. She says, everyone in India, listen. The hell of Kirmi Bhojanam that was mentioned by Vyasa in Garuda Purana has opened and is directly falling on India as thunder. Running to Adi Kailasa and protection from it is the only way. Deadly corona life-taking disease has brought the hell as Kirmi Bhojanam to earth. The dance of Agora Tandava, which no one could control, has started. This microorganism that has formed will be alive in air for miles together, destroying other souls. It will eat the bodies. It has started roaming as great demons with tremendous strength. Understand properly, prevention is the only way. For that, I have opened Adi Kailasa for those who want to save their lives. All of you, run to Adi Kailasa. Only in India, this hell is going to open and is going to spread to the whole world. The Kirmi Bhojanam hell has come to the earth because of the sufferings done by humans. Mother, I will protect those at my feet, those who listen to me and wish to save their lives, learning that prevention is the only way. Go to Adi Kailasa. Kirmi Bhojanam is one of the 28 hells described in the Hindu scriptures, where people are sent to suffer in a pit to be eaten up by worms. The Garuda Purana cosmology is mentions about the Kirmi Bhojanam hell. We are now seeing the references in the Hindu scriptures where the Kirmi Bhojanam hell has been described in Garuda Purana, in Devi Bhagavata Purana, in Shiva Purana, in Skanda Purana, in Brahma Purana, and in Padma Purana. When the first world countries closed their borders during a massive global emergency, it is Adi Kailasha which has opened its doors to all without any exception. At least 6 months back, the Supreme Pontiff reveals, at least 6 months back, I became aware that a multi-layer quarantine is needed to protect people. If you are in India and you want to protect your immediate family or extended family, anyone who will listen to you, get them immediately to our campuses. Now here we can see free COVID care centers opened across India. Kailasa rushes its aid to India as India finds itself on the verge of a COVID-19 third wave. Multiple COVID-19 care centers opened in India, various social services offered during the pandemic in various monasteries, adinams of Kailasa, spiritual services offered during the pandemic, and cosmic revelations on the global pandemic by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. All the adinams, they provide medical care, allopathy, Ayurveda, Siddha medicines, fire safety, equipment maintenance, infrastructure to accommodate thousands, accommodation for multi-layered quarantine, emergency ambulances, ICU on fields, personal protective medical equipment, groceries collected for Annadan and organic farming. And if you would like to come and join and live in one of the COVID care protection centers, completely provided free of cost by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, you can sign up into kailasa.org/Kailasa Care. You can register yourself. So we will get in touch with you on what are the requirements that you need so that you can come and live in one of the COVID care protection centers in India offered by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Kailasa. Now, glimpses from Kailasa's Department of Health on COVID protection for Adi Kailasha Sarvanya Peetham. Now, one of the things that is very uniquely provided in Adi Kailasha are the immunity boosters for COVID care, the supplements procurement, allopathic immune boosters, zinconia, vitamin D, vitamin C, etc. Through Ayurvedic medicine, the immunity boosters are being provided to protect all the residents of Adi Kailasha Sarvanya Peetham. Steaming once a day with tulasi, eucalyptus, nochi, and turmeric leaves. All these herbal leaves are taken from the healing trees directly growing in Adi Kailasha. Twice a week, consumption of Kabasura Kudinir, a mixture of pepper, ginger, cloves, and other ingredients, extensively aimed for boosting the lungs, improving the respiratory system, and treating infectious conditions such as cough, cold, and fever. And Nilavembu Kudinir to be taken once a week, Agastya Lehiam 5 days, Talisadi Vatakam 3 to 4 tablets per day for 5 days, Indugandha Kashayam and Amrutottara Kashayam, which is both for 5 days, 1 teaspoon with 500 ml of warm water. Then we have Sudarshana Gulika once every 5 days, gargling with salt and turmeric twice a day, and a spiritual routine of following the Panchakriya, the herbal Haritaki, the castor oil, the neem juice, the Prathama Vinyasa Krama, Trinetra Kumbhaka, and the Puja. Basic sanitizations and safety practices. where you dispose of the soil pads, infected material, and non-biodegradables done through incineration, and RO water systems for drinking water, cleansing and sanitization of overhead tanks, regular de-weeding, maintenance and repair of electrical circuits, communication facilities for safety of residents, compost pit filling with biodegradables. And immediately upon arriving to the campus, you will be quarantined for 15 days. A negative test, a swab test, an RT-PCR test to be done on the day 5. All food handlers to be wearing a mask and gloves and keeping a distance. And disposal of waste food to be done with gloves and masks. Disposal of gloves and masks by incineration. And in case of emergency, protective kits are ready at hand to take the COVID positive patient to the hospital. Wearing a mask at all times, and if exposed to vendors or outside people, double layer cotton mask should be changed every day and can be reused with washing, and after washing it with a detergent and sun drying. And the mask has to be changed. If it gets wet by saliva, secretions or sweat, change it and wear a dry mask. The wet mask can be stored in a sealed plastic cover, washed with the detergent and reused later. So here we have the N95 face masks. Now we have multi-layered quarantine. The first layer of quarantine are the people who are in touch with the public. Then we have the second layer of quarantine, which is the people who just want to live in the monastery using the COVID care facilities, but they have just arrived. So they are in the second layer quarantine for 15 days. And the test is taken on the 5th day. And if they clear the test and if they have no symptoms, then they can come and join the third layer of quarantine, which is all the residents of the monastery. So we have 3-layer quarantine services levels. We have in-house, in-campus ambulances, oxygen cylinders to be provided in terms of emergency. Now we want to look at what are the different medical tests that if you want to come and if you want to avail this service and if you want to come and live in one of the campuses, then what are the medical tests that you need to take? I'll go ahead and share that mandatory requirements. Now, all Adinavasis, the Adinavasis coming to the Adinam or any devotees coming to the Adinam must take the following medical tests, and the results to be sent to Ma Santana Lakshmi. You can email her at ma.santanalakshmi@nityanandauniversity.org. The results will be reviewed by the medical team consisting of Dr. Atmaranjana, Dr. Santana Lakshmi, and Ma Chandravidya. Now, these are the tests that you need to do. A complete blood count with peripheral smear, blood group type, fasting and postprandial blood sugar, renal function test, blood urea and serum creatinine, VDRL, HBsAg test, HIV, the thyroid function test, serum T3, T4, TSH, ECG, the liver function test, and the lipid profile test. These are the tests that you need to do before coming to the monastery. Now, please get your RT-PCR test for COVID-19 taken 2 days before coming to the Adinam and send it to the previous mentioned email address to get clearance. The medical team will communicate to the admin of the respective Adinam with regards to the medical status and the approval status. Once communicated, the person should come into the Adinam within 24 to 48 hours of the test. If there are any pre-existing medical issues like hypertension, diabetes, or any other chronic diseases and comorbid situation, please bring in the recent reports and the prescription from the attending doctor. A medical form will need to be filled in by all the new applicants. A legal disclaimer will also be required to be signed. All the people in quarantine will be monitored for temperature rise, oxygen status, and other symptoms, and anyone with the symptoms should be reported immediately. Now, after 15 days, you'll be out of quarantine. Please follow the basic guidelines of living in the Adinam, some of which are listed below. Smoking, drinking, drugs, substance abuse is strictly prohibited. Consumption of non-vegetarian food is strictly prohibited. Illicit sex is strictly prohibited. Please follow the basic etiquette like traditional Indian clothing, personal and environmental cleanliness, and hygiene. And the mandatory sanitation of the Adinam following measures below will help prevent in the spread of infections in the Adinam such as cold, flu, stomach bugs, and protect the Adinavasis. Make sure that the workplaces are clean and hygienic. Surfaces like the desk and tables and objects need to be wiped with disinfectant regularly. Promote regular and thorough hand washing by Adinavasis. Please keep sanitizing the hand into hand rub dispensers in prominent places around the workplace. Make sure these dispensers are regularly refilled. Display posters promoting hand washing. Washing kills the virus on the hand and prevents the spread of infection. Promote good respiratory hygiene in the workplace. Display posters promoting respiratory hygiene. Good respiratory hygiene prevents the spread of infection. Now, anyone with even a mild cough or a low-grade fever needs to be monitored by health personnel with isolation, even if symptoms are mild. Now, they should wear an ordinary surgical face masks rather than N95 mask in their quarantine room. Medications such as paracetamol and acetaminophen, ibuprofen, and aspirin may mask symptoms of infection. Now, ensure and pre-order sufficient supplies and materials, including masks, tissues, and sanitizers for all the people. Now, the basic travel precautions. Travel outside Adina must be discussed with the medical department. No one is to leave the premises without approval. And the plan of action when someone is infected with COVID. The plan should cover putting an ill person in an area where they are completely isolated from others. Local health authorities will be notified. Medical team will have a working relationship with the good hospital for any medical emergencies. Please note down that the emergency contact numbers of the hospitals where they may have to ship people to. All the medical team members and admins will have it with them for immediate reference. So here we can see oxygen concentrators, which are to be used in terms of emergency. So if you would like to come and avail the COVID care protection, then you can register through the link below, which is kailasa.org/Kailasa Care.
Paramashivoham. Om Nityananda Paramashivoham. Om Nityananda Paramashivoham.
Now, if you go to the link that's projected on the screen, which is kailasa.org/Kailasa Care, then you will be led to this form, which is the registration form for you to register yourself. If you would like to come and avail the COVID care protection, the multi-layered quarantine facilities in the monasteries of Kailasa in India. So here you can go ahead and sign up. You give your basic details, and then you can say which center that you prefer to come to, and what is the intended date of your arrival, when do you intend to come with your family, and if yes, the number of family members you intend to bring and leave empty if you are arriving alone, and the details of the family members. And do you intend on joining Kailasa permanently as an Adinavasi or Kailasi? Do you intend to come there to stay there forever, or you just want to stay only for the COVID quarantine time? If no, how many months do you plan to stay in one of the COVID care centers? Do you plan on working remotely for your current occupation? And do you have a negative test certification? So once you fill this form, and we will have the coordinators of Adi Kailasha connect with you, and you can go ahead and avail of this service. So with that, we come to the conclusion of today's event. The next segment we'll be leading into is the power manifestation segment, where we'll be leading you into a very guided power manifestation, session. So I hope all of you enjoyed this event, and we have the next program which coming up in the morning. So with that, we will be concluding now with the Purna Mantra, and we'll be leading on to the power manifestation segment next. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Bhagavat Shri Nityananda Paramashiva Padukarpanamastu. Om Nityanandam. Thank you, Nityanandam.
Paramashivoham. Om Nityananda Paramashivoham. Om Nityananda Paramashivoham.
Of Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasanidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam. Let's start with the Sadguru Vandanam. Nityanandam Paramasukhanam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadasham Tattamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Let's go through the disclaimers.
As long as we have the mind and the body, the death happens to the body, happens to the mind. But death does not happen to the consciousness. So where is that? I don't understand something. And he says that he is eaten by none. The person who has experienced that he is consciousness, he has no more death to his body or his mind, because he's gone beyond it. It is like how you became a child and you have become a youth and you have gone beyond. You don't anymore crawl or cry for food. You know how to go and get your food done. Same way, the higher reality, we start understanding much deeper. If you're searching for some parking lot from the ground floor and thousands of cars are there, it's so difficult. But if you're looking from a higher space, from a 10th floor, you will just point it in a minute because you understand. So the perception shift that you have, the cognitive shift, makes you manifest powers. And each of these powers that we manifest is not some small game that we are playing here, but something inside us, the blocks, the incompletions, that gets redundant and irrelevant. And we expand into higher reality. The Bhagavan beautifully says, Jnana Vairagya Bhakti. When you understand, have a cognition and Vairagya, again and again, meticulously in detail, are able to understand in each of the action the context that we are in. The context is Jnana, the action itself is Vairagya, and in the form of oneness with Paramashiva, Bhakti. All these three together forms the new space of cognitive shift. Bhakti, we can see hundreds and thousands of people doing all kinds of ritual. But are they doing as per the scriptures? Are they following the details, the action that they need to do? Has that aligned to the Shastra references? That is the Vairagya. And understanding the context, why we need to do what we need to do, that everything that we need to understand is the context of we are a higher dimension. I am Paramashiva who's manifesting that action, and the whole reality happens as a reality for me to experience. Understanding each and everything and doing the actions meticulously, the Vairagya and Jnana happens, and then the bhakti will flower into the conscious space. Bhagavan beautifully says a beautiful story where Krishna is waiting for his breakfast and Arjuna is sleeping. So he asks Rukmani to go and wake him up, and she goes and never to return. And then Narada comes and says, Krishna, have you had your food? And Rukmani went and nobody came back. Can you check? And Narada goes, and then he also doesn't come back. Now the Gopikas came and they said, we'll go find out what is happening. And they go and they're also not coming back. Krishna is so curious now. What is this Arjuna doing that everybody is just disappearing? And he goes and there he sees all of them completely in a different space. Narada is playing his veena, and Rukmani and Gopikas are completely in higher space where they are completely engrossed in the higher reality. And he goes to see Arjuna. What is he doing? He was in the deep sleep. But in the deep sleep also, he was chanting Krishna's mantra, the name of Lord Krishna, in such a pure space that he was. Everybody just melted into the space of one.